listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Getting on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
The first episode of Pitch and Moan in 2025. I am your host, Courtney Finnicum, and I am very honored to have a former National League Manager of the Year, Clint Hurdle, joining me on the show. First show of 2025. Clint, how are you doing?
Courtney, I'm doing very, very well. In many cases, better than I deserve. So it's good to see you. And after following you on social media for a while, I think Pitch and Moan is a very, very excellent title.
You know, and I appreciate you saying that, because I wanted to kick off the show by saying and complimenting how much I enjoy your social media acumen. Well, I mean, I pride myself of having a solid pitching and moaning Twitter platform, but you have a different angle that I really enjoy. It's such positivity, and I love that.
I think I've had the negativity beaten out of me and humbled out of me, and just, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. It's never worked for me. Every once in a while, I'll try and go back to it and see how it plays, and it's always the same ending to the movie. I just know that the most challenging times in my life, there was always somebody that showed up, and they said something that finally landed or hit or made sense. And sometimes it was people that had been with me for a long time, and I just kind of tuned them out.
Yep.
So my goal, if I even have a goal, is to just try and share experience, strength, and hope in an authentic and transparent way.
And honestly, that's refreshing, because, you know, social media these days, as much as there are some good that goes along with it, there's a lot of negativity, right? There's a lot of cons with social media. And I feel like you have brought into the baseball world some much needed positivity and a perspective that is refreshing. And that's great.
I appreciate you saying that. And what's kind of been fun as we've gone along, and, you know, my son double dog dared me really to get on social media over a year ago. And it worked. To this day, you know, if you double dog dare me, I'm going to throw down with you. Just the 12-year-old in me jumps out.
That's why I've always liked you.
Well, the point being, though, if you want to pick a fight, you can get into one every day on Twitter. And my son shared early on, he said, "Dad, your positive messaging has a reach. You're throwing a net." But I had a daily email that I sent out that, you know, was about 7,000 people. He goes, "But that's it." He said, "If you get on social media and share your positivity, Dad, there's people out there that need to hear it. There's young kids that need to hear it. There's old people." He said, "You can throw a broad net, reach more people. And when you do it consistently, they'll see that you're real." He said, "However, at the same time," he said, "understand that your best measure is to be light, bright, and polite. And if somebody does take a shot across the bow, if you give them one response, let it be along the lines of, 'Well, that's an interesting take. That's an interesting take. Appreciate your lens,' and then move on. If they shoot at you again, Dad, they're trying to pick a fight, then just say, 'Good afternoon, good night,' or whatever, and get out of there." So my son's spot was spot on.
And honestly, there's more people that really need to, including myself, right? that needs to really take that into consideration, because there are people that are just looking for a fight. And you've taken this positivity to a whole other level. And you've also done something amazing that really needs to be called out more and more. You've recently written a book. And first of all, congratulations. That's absolutely incredible. And I got a chance to review some of it. Thank you for sending that. And this book really encapsulates exactly what you're trying to do on social media. So my first question to you is, how did you ever get this, just decide, I'm going to write a book? Did someone double dog dare you?
Pretty much. It's the only way things seem to work with me lately.
I get it.
Writing a book was never on my radar. I will say that after I got into managing, my life story is somewhat interesting if you followed it, if you know me, from the Sports Illustrated cover, and then time before that, even as a high school athlete, a college recruit, playing in the pros afterwards, coaching, managing, ups, downs, sideways. At the end of the day, after the 3-year run we had in Pittsburgh, which we were a very, very good team through 13 to 15, I had a handful of people, a big handful of people reach out to me and say, hey, would you ever consider writing a book? And each one of them, I just says, I'm humbled that you would ask, but no, it'd be a distraction. I'm managing, I'm involved, I'm engaged. And then when I'm not, I'm home. So no, but thank you. And then a few would start trying to figure another way to present the question. Hey, have you ever considered co-authoring a book?
Okay.
Well, I said, okay, you got my attention. Tell me what that is. And at the end of the day, that's letting somebody else that knows what they're doing do all the heavy lifting.
Exactly.
And basically you share stories, you journal, and then you just write them notes. Or, in the case of the first man I sat down with to try to write the book together that we didn't get done, we just get together for a weekend. And he would tape record everything we talked about. His name was Dave Burchett. He was a TV producer for the Rangers games, 40 years in the industry. And I met him in 2010 when I was a hitting coach for the Rangers, and we hit it off really well. But over a 2.5-year period, we put together a book. Then we tried to publish it. We could not get anybody to publish our book. And the story came back. Well, yeah, exactly. Because I'm thinking, okay, which lucky soul is going to grab us?
Yeah, we got the hard part down. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And no. And then finally one person just said no. He said, don't take this the wrong way, which I laugh at now. But he said, it's male, pale, and stale. It's 2 over 60-year-old white guys having a conversation that he said some of the content's interesting, but it's a small demographic and we need to throw a broader net, and that's not going to work. Well, we kept getting the same feedback. It was 24 times, I don't know, a bunch of times we got turned down. And then finally, my friend Dave said, hey, would you reach out to your friend John Gordon? I don't know if you know of John Gordon, but John Gordon got 17 best-selling books. I've known John for 10, 12 years. I used to have him come to Pittsburgh and speak in spring training, motivational speaker, corporate inspirational leader. Anyway, he read the book, and basically it was the same answer. And he goes, Clint, you're missing the point here. I go, what? He goes, there's some content in here that's special. I've known you for 10 years. He goes, what you need to do is write your own book. Mm. And Courtney, initially, I was just the walls went down, the bells went off. It's like, no. And he goes, why? And I said, well, too much time. I'm not a writer. So after I got done, he goes, so you're afraid, you're anxious, you're worried what people are going to think. You're afraid of commitment, you're afraid of growth. Well, when he said growth, we'll get to this later. The one word I picked for 2023 was grow.
Yep.
And he said, so your word of the year really doesn't mean anything to you.
Yep.
And I said,
called you out.
Called me out, flat out. And that's what you find out in life. People that love you the most are going to tell you the truth.
Amen.
Tough love is still love.
Fully agreed.
He told me all the reasons why I should write a book. And I was like, oh, man. Okay. I said, if you can get me hooked up with somebody, at least try and sell my story. He said, I'll put you in touch with my publisher, but then you're on your own. Okay. So through a series of Zooms, interviews, thoughts, exchange ideas, they read some of my stuff. Because I had to start rewriting. I wanted to honor Dave in the book we had gone to work on and not use that book. They said, we want to write this book with you. So bam, it started happening. And then the day I said, I'm going to write a book, it was like my whole lens flipped and my brain softened and my heart opened up and said, Clint, you have one shot at this to make other people know that, a life lived perfectly isn't probably feasible. And trying to make everybody happy along the way isn't probably the right route to take. So share your experience, strength, and hope. Share your failures, the authenticity, because there's a lot of my life that's not a highlight reel, and just let it rip and see what happens. That was it.
Yeah. And honestly, I think your perspective on just letting it rip, I love that, because there's something about someone that's authentic and raw and real that you bring to this book. And one part that I absolutely love is what you call Hurdle-isms, right? Now, I'm going to read you some of my favorites, but I want you to explain how you started these Hurdle-isms because they are incredible. And I will read a couple of my favorites. One, don't keep score. Now, former baseball manager, great baseball manager. I love that. Shower well. One of my favorites as well. That is tremendous. Get a good pitch to hit. Again, wonderful perspective from a manager. Multitasking makes me multi-mediocre. Love that. Honor the exit. Develop a white belt mentality. What is the background of these? And I'm just reading just a few here. There's what, 25, 30 Hurdle-isms? I mean, there's a ton. What was the background of these incredible slogans?
Well, it was kind of crazy. At the end of John's, share to me, his honest, open, authentic share was, Clint, I've been writing down things you've said for 10 years, and I call them Hurdle-isms. It was the first time I heard the term. And I'm thinking, you can't call them Hurdle-isms. There's Yogi-isms, there's Casey-isms, and he goes, well, what better way to honor those kind of guys? He said, they had their own authentic speech and way of sharing. You have your own authentic way of sharing it and the way you talk. I've picked up on it. I'm a pretty successful book writer and motivational speaker. You motivate me. You inspire me. He said, come up with a format, reach out to some friends. I've kept a journal, Courtney, every year I've managed. I had 17 journals to pick things from. So we just compiled a big list, and I actually took the list to Wiley, and we whittled it down to 25. But it's basically phrases that I learned a life lesson from, probably professionally and personally. Okay. And maybe there's something in there for you. Maybe there's a couple, you gave like 5 or 6 that resonated with you. And if you'll think about it, they made sense. It may give you something to hold on to moving forward if you get in that same space mentally, physically, emotionally. Yep. So that's how it landed. John, again, threw out the idea of Hurdle-ism. And I said, okay, you think that's a good idea? Let's try that. Did you implement any of these Hurdle-isms while managing? And if so, did a lot of the players resonate with these Hurdle-isms? 100%. I mean, it's going to be a good question. I can't wait for the book to get out because I only went to one former player for an endorsement. And I've sent you by email some of the endorsements I've got, and some of them have already been shown on Twitter. But Andrew McCutcheon gave me an endorsement that I wouldn't do it honor by trying to remember it. But there was time and space in Colorado where certain things I said, I stuck with them. I wanted them to hopefully build roots with the team and individuals. And the same thing in Pittsburgh, whether it was a series of events, whether it was a rough month, whether it was something I had to walk through personally. So absolutely, they came out of from dugout experience, from field experience, from clubhouse experience, from real life experience with my family, with my wife, with our daughter, Maddie, my oldest daughter, Ashley, and my son, Christian, and then friends that have kind of put their fingerprints on me, over my 67 years of walking around. And Andrew McCutcheon did give you a wonderful, wonderful platitude of compliments and how you, and we're talking a future Hall of Famer, more than likely, really singing your praises of what you instilled in him while you were managing in Pittsburgh. And that's huge. And that is something to definitely hang your hat on, right? I'm fortunate that I still have conversations with a lot of the players that have played for me. And, some of them, we're talking about life now. Right. And we're talking about relationships, whether it's with our wives or our kids, or there's a challenge in their life. There's been so many stories, as a manager, you say my door is always open. Well, that's great. But if nobody comes in, what kind of leader are you? That's right. I was fortunate in my years that door being open, there was nothing over those years that didn't get brought to me in some shape, capacity, with the game, without the game, with a wife or a girlfriend or a mom or dad or an agent, a health issue. But I've had players share, my dad was born, Jordy Mercer's dad was born on the same day and year I was. So I'm basically, Jordy can look at me and his dad
Second father. Yeah.
And then there was something else that, we both had walked through together. David Freeze's, so many of their fathers were the same age and they would bring up situations or whatever. So many different ways to bond. Todd Helton and I are still best friends. He invited my family, my wife and I, on his A-list to Cooperstown.
Amazing.
Which was amazing because I've never been on anybody's A-list anywhere.
Yeah.
It was the most incredible weekend Carl and I have had.
Yeah.
Baseball related. I got to see I got to see a couple of teammates. I got to see people I played against, managers, but it was just, it was a kid's dream. And now it's a reality. I'm in the middle of it. So the player touches are still real. And it's not always the stars. I mean, every big leaguer to me was a star because they got to the big leagues.
Agreed.
But I stay in touch with Tulowitzki frequently, but Clint Barmas, Brad Hopp, Aaron Cook, and then in Pittsburgh, whether it's Josh Harrison, Andrew McCutcheon, Jordy Mercer, who I mentioned, and I could keep going, AJ Burnett, guys that we grew up together. They sharpened me, and hopefully I was able to sharpen them.
And it seems like you did. And that is a tremendous list of guys that you named. And I think your work speaks for itself. With that being said, back to, you mentioned having a word of the year. I absolutely love that. Growth was the word of the year in 2023. What is the word of the year in 2025?
Yeah, I found having one word to cling to and to stay tight with was much better than resolutions, because I could write down 7 or 8 resolutions and I'm done with most of them by the 15th of January.
No doubt.
Just for me. So to pick one word and then to define it, why is it my word? How am I going to use it mentally? How am I going to use it physically? How am I going to use it relationally? So my word this year is listen. Because my partner, my life partner, my wife Carla, is, for me, she's the most caring, unselfish, dedicated person that I've ever met. She spoke truth to me since we met. She was one of the reasons I explored a different journey and got myself out of the hole I was in, because I actually had asked her to marry me. And she said, that's an interesting question. And I said, that's not the answer I've grown accustomed to, because I've been married twice before. And
that's actually tremendous.
She threw down and she goes, Clint, there's a really cool guy in there, but he doesn't come out very often. And when he comes out, I don't know how long he's going to stay.
Yep.
And I don't know when he's going to come out. So she goes, number one, you got to find a way to make yourself happy or you'll never make me happy. She never told me I needed to stop drinking. She never told me I need to stop doing that. She just you need to figure some things out. She goes, I'm going to hang around for a while and see how this goes. But the word thing this year, listen, she came to me and shared, you're always a work in progress. And I know you put a lot of effort and time into it. And there is some growth. But she goes, you're not listening as well as you think you are. And I still have an addiction to try and be where my feet are with everybody. And then sometimes that gets away from me. But at home, it shouldn't. And she just said, you're just not listening enough. And I took it to heart because she's never going to tell me something to hurt me.
Right.
And there was a time I had to work through that because, some guys will say, my wife nags at me all the time. Well, that's your perception, which is real. But maybe your wife's just trying to better you and you take it as nag. And I said, okay, and share. And she had no problem sharing 3 or 4 things that had just happened in the last week where I wasn't completely invested. So I said, okay, listen to myself, what I tell myself, listen to those around me, listen to their words, listen to their actions. Listen to what my body tells me, listen to what God tells me, listen to what good people in my life tell me and share with me, but to really stop talking, use the ears, use the eyes. And then if you felt needed, then use your mouth with your voice. So my goal is to listen, to learn more, to be a lifelong learner, a white belt mentality. And as of most of the things that I get nudged to or guided towards, it comes from Carla's honest self-evaluation of where I can improve.
And the fact that you were receptive to what she was telling you and that you validated what she was saying to you. You know, some of the best advice I have ever received was you have two ears and one mouth for a reason, right? And that tells you that you should be using those two ears a little bit more than you should be using your mouth. And I'm saying this on my podcast, Pitch and Moan. I mean, I've made I've made a nice little thing with myself for using my mouth in that regard. But listening is huge, not just in business, in relationships. And to me, that really resonates with me as well. And you know, you're being very extremely forthcoming with all of this, and I really do appreciate that. I feel like it's now becoming a little bit more of a normal thing where athletes, people involved in sports are talking a little bit more about their mental health, right? And talking a little bit more about their struggles. And I think to your earlier point about people being more authentic and raw and real with their struggles, everyone has stuff, right? And I think that that is helping people realize, okay, these guys are not robots. They're athletes, but they have real struggles, to your point. And I think that's amazing that you're so comfortable talking about your journey.
Well, it's become therapeutic for me because I'll share in smaller groups or sometimes even in corporate speaking events that, you know, everybody wants to know how to do something the right way. I may be able to give you some of those, but I can give you a whole bunch of things that I guarantee you will not work.
Yep.
That will cause doom and gloom, that will cause isolation, anxiety, dysfunction, lack of relationship. I can give you those.
Yes.
And for too many years, Courtney, when I would get a bad result or feel less than or didn't show up, meet my expectations or expectations of others, I would internalize it. And I just keep stuffing it inside. Well, till it blew up. And actually, I have no one to blame for any of my low light film failures. 2 divorces.
Yep.
If you psychoanalyze it, you can come up with, you know, everybody likes to say, well, it took 2. Well, no, if I had been better, who knows what reaction I would have gotten in a lot of situations.
You're right.
So that's on me. The fact that I had great parents and 2 great sisters and ended up drinking myself into an alcoholic, I have no one to blame but me.
That's right.
I want to numb those feelings. I want to numb those thoughts. I wanted to buy some time. And it took me way too long to realize that I just got sick and tired of feeling tired and sick. And I wasn't putting myself in the best position to have success anyway. Oh, people are laughing with me at night. Maybe I went 0 for 4 and punched out 3 times, but oh, look, he's okay. Look at him tonight. You know, 6 beers in, everything's good.
Yeah.
Not really. So failed marriages, an alcoholic background, a couple DUIs along the way. I mean, 10 years apart, no lesson learned there, right?
Right.
However, when you're authentic and real, because I can share this with people, because there's going to be somebody listening to your podcast that has some of this in a common fabric and realize that, you know what, 26 years ago, when I finally decided to stop trying to do it all myself and stop trying to please everybody and stop worrying about what everybody thought of me, I'd rededicated my life to Christ and I got sober. I could not have written the story that's happened since then. I would have never become a big league manager. I would have never gotten remarried a 3rd time. And if you do I always share this, the girls get a kick out of this. Do the girl math here. I've been sober 26 years. The 3rd marriage, I've been married 25 years.
Yep. You don't have to sell anything to me. There's a reason for it. There's a reason why you're on this path. Yes.
There's 100%. And I'm still not, I'm the best version of me, which Carl will be the first one to tell you some days that's not real good. But I'm the best version of me. And there's no excuses. There's no excuses. I can't blame it on anything else, or I just need to get better in some areas. And that's my goal. That's my journey. And I really think it all started early on in alcohol counseling in AA when the girl who happened, her name was Carla with a C. I married a Carla with a K. But as she was tearing me up and making me be honest and real with myself, she goes, Clint, you still haven't realized there's 3 things in life you have 0 control over. And I'm like, okay, what do you got? She goes, you can't control what other people think, say, or do.
Mind blown.
I have been trying to control all three of those for years.
Right. That's right.
I mean, really working hard at it, working
I believe
overtime.
it.
And wow, I have no control? No, you have none. Matter of fact, you'd be surprised at how many limited things you do actually have control of.
It's the truth.
And we got to that point, and that's when I got some traction. I got some sobriety. I got, the steps in me, that program. I got some new friendships. I stayed here, started hanging around a different crowd. Go figure.
Also huge. Go figure. Yes.
And the people that I used to drink with that called me names, quitter, whatever,
Yep.
they really didn't care anyway.
That's right.
They didn't care. Because they didn't care what was best for me.
That's exactly correct. And honest to God, if you could tell one piece of advice to someone listening that is going through something similar, I know obviously this is a multi-layer issue. What would it be?
Ask for help.
That's right.
My dad grew up, my dad's 91. I spent last weekend with him, celebrated his 91st birthday. Mom's 89.
Amazing.
I'm blessed beyond measure because I still have both my parents. However, he grew up at a time when men didn't show a lot of affection outside maybe what they had for their wife. And that was limited on what they let people see.
That's right.
I can remember telling my dad the first time, I love you. And he looked at me like, I said, I love you, Dad. He goes, okay, me too. And I go, okay, this is going to take some time, but I'm not backing away. I want him to know I love him. And I'm just not, the words have to become actions. But my dad and I, when we see each other now, I give him a hug. I kiss him on the cheek. I mean, it's different. My son, Christian, the first time leaving home, he finally got old enough. Son, I'm going to leave. You're the man of the house. You got things, and I just want to let you know, I love you. He goes, Dad, I love me too. Have a good trip. I mean, but I go, okay, that's kind of it, but yeah. I'm glad you love me.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Progress, but it's easy. It's easier to say than people think, but you got to mean it.
You got to mean it.
And there's got to be action behind it, because if it doesn't, I mean, it's so hollow. It's like walking by somebody and saying, hey, how you doing? You never stop to listen to their response. You just keep on walking.
Yep. That's right. Asking for help, that is, to me, one of the biggest things you can do in life. 99.9% of the people walking around have a ton of stuff going on. Being able to embrace that and realize that we're not perfect people. We don't know everything. Looking in the mirror and realizing, okay, I want to become a better person. That's a strength. That is not a weakness.
It's a superpower, Courtney. One of the best things I ever did. I mean, there's some good things I did that I'm proud of now. It's amazing the timeline it took me in which to do them sometimes. Yep. But I think it was going on my fourth full year managing in Colorado. Anyway, it was before the 2007 season in spring training. And, I'm learning. I'm watching I'm managing games against Bobby Cox, Tony La Russa, Joe Torre. I would tell my guys, hey, you really got to play well this series, because look who's in the dugout. I can't outmanage that guy. You got to outplay their players. And that would laugh and loosen them up a little bit. But I think they love the authenticity and the transparency.
Yes.
But before the 2007 season, I took it upon myself, hey, guys, I don't know what this year is going to bring. I had a good feeling. We had not won anything or close to anything, but I felt a vibe that was just real. They were getting better. They were believing in one another. I thought we'd be a good team.
Yep.
And I said, I don't know what this year is going to bring. All I know is it's going to be worth it. However, I'm reaching out to you right now to let you know I'm going to need help. I'd never told that to a team before. I might say it to one coach or two, but I'm saying it to you, and I'm telling you, the coaches, I don't bat 1,000 in my decisions. I need feedback. Presentation is all about timing and tone. I said, if you got something for me, grab me. But don't ask me why I pinch hit for you after I just taken you out of the game and we're standing by each other. We can talk about it after. We can talk about it the next day.
Right.
I actually I got vulnerable. I just said, hey, I need your help.
Yep.
And then you're looking, and I can remember someone saying, that was all right. for a manager to say he needs help, because sometimes we know you need help.
Exactly.
We can tell by your decision-making process. And obviously you're not listening to anybody but yourself.
Exactly. How refreshing is that? Listen, guys, I actually need help. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I need everybody pulling the same ship here, right?
That's right.
No, I absolutely love that. And the more people are becoming comfortable talking about needing help and going to get help, especially in the sports world, I think is making a big difference. Because like you said, there used to be a stigma on this, right? There used to be a stigma on mental health. It's the opposite now, and people should embrace it. Just
They
like you
should.
said.
My dad was a big help in me throughout the time, the time period that I've grown up till today. But even he understands now, as I've shared, my struggles, my challenges, because there's time when you're parents, well, what did we do wrong? What I said, you guys, no, none of this is on you guys. Right. So just put those bags down. This is all self-inflicted. You've been telling me the right things to do forever. I just chose to tune out. And then from a child's perspective, for most of us, it's always amazing how much smarter your parents get as you get older.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Yep, absolutely.
And my dad has helped me, but there's been others. I've been so many people, because I share there's a lot of fingerprints on success.
Yep.
And then I look at the people that poured into me when things weren't going well, when things were sideways. And it wasn't always a coach. I call them Godwinks now, people that was placed in my life at a certain time to get my attention or to share something significant that I needed to hear that I wasn't hearing from somebody else. It's that old saying too, if you're a parent, you're telling your children something to do and they're not picking up on it. They go down the street, they play a game, they go, hey, Mr. So-and-so said this thing about being where your feet are and, paying attention to who's in front of you. You think you've been saying the same thing to your kid for 2 months. He hasn't heard a word you're saying. But Mr. Wilson down the street is brilliant. Right. Well, you know what, Courtney? I'll go, yeah, Mr. Wilson's a smart guy. Maybe you need to go spend more time down there. Because old me would have thrown down. What do you mean? I've been telling you that for 2 months. You're not listening to me.
Yeah.
It becomes about me again.
That's right. I love that. I absolutely do it. Because you know what? To take yourself out of a situation and not make everything about you, especially in sports, can be very hard. Can be extremely hard. But
it's crazy.
It is. But if you're able to do that successfully and mean it, it's an incredible strength. It's an incredible strength.
When you do it long enough, consistently, then people see the value in it and they see that you're authentic. Because, the 3 questions, I even share these in the book, that I learned along the way that helped provide the most development for myself and then the coaches that I've had or players that I've had. Can I trust you? Do you care about me? And can you make me better? There's not a person that's played any kind of, I won't even say sport, any learning. If you're out to learn, you're not going to trust somebody to help you learn until they've earned it. You've got to earn people's trust nowadays.
Yes,
so can I trust you? I earn your trust. Then you will give me an opportunity to coach you. An opportunity will present itself to coach you. Then it's up to me to show up and coach you.
Yep.
The missing link for a lot of times, though, is showing them that you truly care about them outside of the skill set that they provide. Yep. And one of the men that touched me first was when I converted, to Christianity, or I gave my life to Jesus. It was because the pastor showed an interest in my soul, not how far I could kick it, throw it, punt it, hit it. And I'm not blaming men for it, but I had a lot of coaches that's what they were there to do, to coach skills.
Yep.
And then over the course of time, I found out the meaning of what a transactional coach is, which I was at times. I mean, I'll do this for you, you do this for me, and then hopefully I'll get another contract or I'll win Coach of the Year. But a transformational coach is continuously putting that person in the best situation they can have success. Yep. And when you get a bunch of guys realizing that you're a transformational coach, you are truly here for them, that's when the magic can start to happen.
These guys are not robots, right? They all have backgrounds. They all have families. They all have stuff going on. If you can chip away at that and make them comfortable around you, like you said, your door is always open and they'll utilize it.
They will. And that's, one of the other challenges that I still have today. And I've shared it with my general manager, Neil, at the time. The term pieces has become, in some people's mind, appropriate and very fitting. I would never I would share with my coaches how much I didn't appreciate the term.
Yep.
Because they're not pieces to me. They may be pieces to you. Use it somewhere else. I just don't even like to hear it. And I'd share this with my general manager. When you come down, Neil, when you come down the clubhouse, please try and refrain from using the word pieces. And he was good about it. He understood. He had to look over above like it's a game, board game, chess, whatever. And then I said, but when we remove the heart, the game becomes sterile. And this was never a game meant to be played sterile. It's meant to be played with heart, with emotion. Not played emotionally. Sometimes it gets to that point, but played with emotion. Your heartbeat is real. And when you know these players have a heart in them and there's a family tied to them and there's other things tied to them, it's not just the name in the front of the jersey, which is so significant, the city you're playing for, the fan base you're playing for, but the name on the back are the people that have raised you, have grown you up. So when you combine the two, they're real, man. And they got everyday stuff going on just like you and me. There's stuff, money you can't throw money at. Our daughter, Maddie, was born with a birth defect, Courtney. I can throw all the money I got at it. It's not going to change that.
That's
But
exactly
what
right.
we've learned, there's been so many people in Maddie's life the last 22 years that have poured into her to make her life better. And not because her dad managed the club. It's what they do for a living. It's what they're passionate about. It's unconditional love. And when you get a team and you see them in the playoffs, some more than others, there's a vibe. You know, I'm a Lion fan, and I won't apologize for it because I've been a Lion fan for 62 years. I've done a lot of hard.
You certainly have.
And we have a
and
team
I'm rooting
now,
for you.
We have a team now that when I see them, I just see a big heart beating. It's blue. It's Honolulu blue and silver, but it's a big heart beating, and it's led by the general manager and the head coach. Two pretty unique individuals, but when you hear them talk,
that's right.
It's X's and O's, but it's Johnny and Joe's. It's the names of the players.
You start to figure out why they're so successful when you hear Campbell talk. It's like, okay, this guy gets it. He gets the X's and O's, but he gets the real side of the game too. And that's what you need, and that's what you brought to the table. Another thing I really enjoyed while I was reading your book is, and you're still doing this to this day, but it started during your managerial career, sharing daily positive emails and messages. When did that start, and what triggered that for you?
One of the best mentors, the most significant men I've ever had in my life was Kelly McGregor, who was the president of the Rockies organization. When I was there as a hitting coach and then as a manager, a man of Christian faith, 4 kids, lovely wife, Lori. I'm still friends with all the kids, especially Taylor McGregor. You may have seen Taylor McGregor. She's an ESPN sideline reporter. She's all over the place.
She's in Chicago. She's with the Cubs.
Absolutely. She's fantastic.
She's fantastic. And she's a big Bronco fan, so I love her.
We helped raise her. I know you're a Bronco fan.
That's right.
But anyway, her dad had impressed upon me that most guys, they want to be the best coach they can be. Or I even reached out to him. I said, now that I'm your manager, can you have any tips on me to be the best manager I can be? He said, Clint, I'm going to put my focus on helping you become the best man you can be. Because I believe if we can help develop you be the best man you can be, you'll take care of being the best manager you can be. He says, I don't have baseball skills to give you. I played football. You know, I've been in leadership. Yeah, there's things we do co-connect on, but that baseball thing, I don't get it.
Right.
That's yours, he said. But as far as growing you up as a man, a father, a parent, a leader, a teacher, a student, and you know what? Sometimes even though you're the manager, you need to be a follower.
Yes.
And help you along those lines. So after the 08 season, we went to the series in 07. Huge year. 08, we didn't play well, and we got hurt a lot. It was a hard year. 09, he said, I want you to take another step in your leadership. I'd like you to lead a bi-monthly leadership group meeting. And, you know, here's some people that I'd like you to invite, but I want you to invite a few more. And he picked the number 12 because it was the number of the disciples. So there was a mixed batch. It was some people were in stadium operations, some people were in the front office, some people were in tickets, and I think 2 of the coaches. So it's 12 of us meeting, and we would pick a topic. I picked the first 2 topics, then they picked some topics, and then everybody would have a thought or a share. It lasts about 45 minutes, and we'd have some Q&A at the end, so it was an hour-long deal. And at the end, I would put a text together, bullet points, high points, you know, and a question like, what were your takeaways? And they little homework they'd have to give back to me. And at the bottom, I would write, make a difference today. Love, Clint. I don't know how I landed on it, but that's where I landed. And I used the word love, which initially freaked a lot of guys out.
I was going to, I thought that, yes.
Yeah, and a couple girls would be like, well, what do you mean by that? I said, look, in an unconditional love kind of way.
Yeah.
I love you. I'm here to support you.
Yep.
All right. And they go, oh, okay. But, I had to act it out where they saw that what I meant was I love you. I care as much about you as a person as I do about your skill set, probably more.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where that came. Well, I got fired a couple months into the season, so the meeting stopped. And I got a call on a July 4th vacation. I had not had a vacation, summer vacation. I think it would have been 35 years because once you get into pro ball,
that's it.
Yeah. So we're in the Outer Banks, and I get a phone call, and I know who the name comes up. I go, wow, I wonder why she's calling me. So I answer the phone. I said, hey, how you doing? She goes, well, I want to know how you're doing. I go, well, it's a weird year. July 4th weekend, I'm on the Outer Banks. I go, you're getting ready for a big weekend series with the Cubs.
Right.
She goes, yeah. She goes, I just had something that's been wearing on me, and I just need to tell you. We hadn't spoken in a month or two. I go, what you got? She goes, well, the meeting. She goes, I valued those meetings. They were the highlight of my week. The questions I'd hold on to, your bullet points I would hold on to. And then the bottom, you would always say, make a difference today. Love, Clint. She goes, that was like a hug. Well, I'm going, wow, well, gosh, I guess we were doing something good.
Yeah.
He goes, however, I haven't heard from you in 2 months. I don't think you're not making a difference in my life anymore. And I really don't think you love me. Because if you love me, you would have reached out.
Right. You're like, oof.
I was like, action. I got off the phone, and I think Carla was there. And she goes, well, who was that? I told her the deal. She goes, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to try and think about this. So I took a walk, and everything I came up with to not get back in touch with these people, it had no steam. It had no traction. I said, what's the best thing I can do? I said, why don't you just put a text together, Clint, and send it to those 12 and say, hey, sorry I've been gone so long. It's been brought to my attention that I'm not making a difference anymore in your life, and you may not think I love you. So I'm committing to you to sending out some text messages. Feel free to get back. Don't. I'm not going to keep score. Going back to the Hurdle-isms, don't keep score. That's what that all relates to. It's not so much the scoreboard, but don't keep score in life. And the 12 turned into 20 because I encouraged them, share this text with a couple friends. That number grew. It grew until the fact that the text messaging became crazy. And Carla's looking at me like, what are you doing? There's a simpler, easier way for you to do that. Okay, what is it, honey? And she showed me it got easier. And then it got harder again because more people wanted them. And I got this folder. I got 12 different folders with 100 people in each one of them. It's just, she's looking at me like, you're crazy. There's ask for help.
Listen and ask for help. There you go.
So I go to this MailChimp program where I send this stuff in early. He puts it out on emails. The number was 7,000 probably a month and a half ago, but since the social media influence now, we're up over 8,000 people. Over 6,000 get the devotional, and over almost 7,700 get the encouragement email. 6 days a week it goes out, not on Sunday. It's free. It's mail proof. I could get on and log in. All you got to do is go to ClintHurdle.com. That actually has all my social media sites on it now. It has the app for the pre-order to the book. It's got all of it. But it's crazy how many people now reach out and, hey, you picked that one just for me, right? And I go, I'm really glad it landed because that's my goal. That however many people it goes out to, that one person reads whatever it is today and goes, oh my, okay. I got something I can hang on to now, maybe just to get me through today.
Exactly. Yep.
And truthfully, Courtney, the ones I pick, because this is personal to me, I don't write hardly any of these. These are people I follow because we talk about followers. I want to introduce people who I follow, people that I probably know personally or I just respect professionally and share wisdom, strength, and hope through them. But every one of them cuts me to the bone. That's why I choose it.
Yeah. It resonates with you.
Where they land, it's been amazing. But that's how that all happened. One person calling me out, a female calling me out, not a guy.
Right.
But she had the ability to speak truth to power in her mind, which a lot of people don't even try and do anymore because of the title or the position. And basically it was just her and me on level ground going, Clint, you're not getting it done.
Right.
You can do better.
Right. And I missed you in my life, and I'm being vulnerable and showing you, hey, I need to feel that love again. That's huge. That's what people want. That's what people
100%.
want. Well, honestly, Clint, you have been incredible with your time, but I do have one more question to ask you. You know, because you've had such success in the baseball world, and you're still such a figure, and people miss you. You know, people miss you. Is there any possible path or thought about getting back involved in the game?
Well, I am involved in the game now. I'm a special assistant with the Colorado Rockies. I work 2 weeks a month in the player development sector. I'm working with the kids, the young managers, and the coaches. I spent a little time in the big leagues, but I was blessed with 33 years of major league experience. So I am involved, engaged, but I have had a few more people reach out to me. I tell them, number one, it would take an act of God. And what I mean by that, it's the right team. It's the right opportunity for them and for me. We're aligned, you know, for the baseball values. We're aligned with how we believe the game should be played, the respect that needs to be shown for the game. And obviously, I've learned to adapt and pivot over the time with younger players, because now the youngest player in the big leagues is closer to being my grandson.
I know.
Than my son.
I know, yes.
So I do believe I have one more big push in me. And at the same time, I'd probably like to mentor one or two men that would be on that staff, if possible, to eventually hand the reins over to, as long as, you know, whatever organization thought they were capable or, you know, good candidates as well. So I would entertain it, but it's not just to get back in uniform, because when I told my wife I failed at retirement, but I told Carla in the middle of November that I was going to put the uniform in the closet and sign a lifetime contract with the home team, which sounds cute. I haven't fulfilled that part of it. I'm back out working, but I don't wear a uniform. And I don't do that for reasons. When the kids see me, the coaches see me, they see Clint in khakis and a Hawaiian shirt.
That's you.
Your title, whatever it is. And it's a softer presentation. However, there's enough of the game I watch where I think, could I still have some impact and influence? I do, but it'd have to be up to somebody else's volition. You can't make people love you.
No.
You can't make people call you, and you can't make people hire you.
You just said it all. 100% the truth. But in all honesty, Clint, you know, whatever you do in life, your mindset is incredible. You have honestly taught me a lot in this hour that resonates with me, that I could use, you know, ending my day today. It's been an incredible conversation. You've been a wonderful guest, and I appreciate your time, and I am rooting for you no matter what it is. Let's get your book out there, because people need it. People need this.
Courtney, thank you. And I know all the pre-orders have been through Amazon, but actually Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and bookshop.org. I sent you some branding for that, but I'm also, those other three book companies have come on board now. You can pre-order the book there, and they will have the book when it launches on the 11th of February as well. So it's going to be a little surreal going into Barnes & Noble and seeing my book, because I've probably bought like 2,500 books out of Barnes & Noble in the past 50 years.
Well, now it's your turn. We will reconvene at a later date.